Welcome. In this Coolgrad video, we're going to talk about the timing of activities. So we have an ambition, a goal. You're probably in India or in some other country and you have an ambition to go to grad school. You want to get a master's degree. You have to decide which program to pursue, which country to pursue it in, how to take the entrance exams, when to apply, and how to do all the activities that are required in between, how to book your tickets and finally land there, and then what courses to take, how to do your internship and then graduate successfully and get a job. So there is all these about 56 activities that I've identified which need to be done one after the other. So I'm going to talk about when to do which activity. So that will give you an idea about how to plan your higher studies abroad. So this video is all about timing of activities. First of all, when do semesters start and end in foreign countries? So mostly like in the United States we have fall, summer and spring. So many people don't know why fall is called fall. It's called fall because it's like and it's like the season where the leaves are being shed from the trees. So there's leaves fallen all over the place. They're all colorful and it looks really nice. Fall colors are really splendid and beautiful. But fall semester gets its name from that, I guess. So it's because it's in the fall season. So fall semester starts usually like sometime in August or even early September sometimes. And fall ends usually like before Christmas. For 3.5 months usually is a semester. And then spring semester is when the leaves are all springing back on the branches. And spring semester starts in January and ends in end of April or early May. So, and then summer is usually the months in between spring and fall. That's between like May, June, July and August. Those 3 months are usually summer. So, what are quarters? A semester may be split into 2 quarters, approximately 2-month duration each. MBA first year usually is organized into quarters in many universities. Quarter system lays more pressure in terms of timing and deadline of activities. So, in one semester, if there are 2 quarters, so you can imagine there is all the more pressure. In the semester, you have about 3.5 months for the final exams, if there is an exam in the course. But in a quarter, it's usually 8 weeks long, 7 or 8 weeks long, and after end of 4 weeks, you have your midterm exams usually. So there's just 1 month time where they have to teach you this thing, do all your homeworks, and then still prepare for the midterm exam, just 1 month time. And the next 1 month, you have to prepare for the final exam. So it's kind of really crammed up. It's a very tight schedule and it's a lot of pressure. A quarter is usually like half of a semester. What is the admission cycle? University admits students to fall and spring sessions. Very few courses have summer admissions. So either you get admission into fall or spring semester. After the deadline for accepting applications, universities take a few months to make an offer of admission or to reject. So if you are applying for fall 2016, so you would have to apply usually around October or November 2015, the year before. So usually they don't accept applications after December for the next fall season because it's going to take them a month or 2 to make a decision whether to give you admission or not. And then you have to make a decision about which university offer you want to take up. And then if you accept an offer, you have to apply for your visa and go through all the immunizations and then book your tickets and pack your bags, and by the time you land there it's like July or August. So it takes time for all this. And if you're applying for a spring semester, usually I think you have to apply by March or April the previous year. And it takes time for them to again make you an offer and for you to accept it and then pack your bags and leave. So, what are rolling admissions? Usually a lot of universities these days have 3 rounds of admissions. They have round 1, round 2 and round 3. So round 1 might end in like, they're all for the same semester, like say fall 2016. But in the application process they have 3 rounds. And round 1 ends in October 2015. So before that, whoever has applied in round 1, they make decisions, they accept a certain percentage of candidates based on their scores, and they shortlist profiles and they make offers to a certain number of people. Depending on how many people accept and how many people reject, Then there's round 2, which ends maybe like in the late November. And so some students apply in round 2. You can either apply in round 1, 2 or 3 to the same university. Just because you're rejected in round 1, you can't apply again to round 2. But you can apply to round 2 of some other university. So you apply in round 2 like in November, and then if you get admission, you take it up, or else in round 3 you can apply in some other universities, and that usually ends by end of December. So what are the application deadlines? For different rounds, it ranges like round 1 is usually October, and then round 2 is November sometime, and then round 3 is usually by the end of December. And most deadlines are very strict in most universities. So if there's a deadline by December 29th at 5 p.m., it closes at 5 p.m. They won't even give you like a 5-minute leeway usually. So you have to submit your application before the deadline, or you're done, or you're screwed. So how many months do I need to prepare efficiently for a GRE, GMAT, and TOEFL exams? So GRE is a graduate record examination. It has the verbal and quantitative section and maybe an essay section. And I have separate videos about how to prepare for GRE. So a GRE is usually required for a master's in computer science or any engineering discipline, or even for some MBA programs or PhD programs. You have to take the GRE and demonstrate competence in quantitative and verbal sections, and also analytical sections. So then there's GMAT, that's Graduate Management Aptitude Test. So for MBAs and even sometimes for MIS programs, you have to take the GMAT. And TOEFL is Test of English as Foreign Language. So most international students, they have to demonstrate proficiency in English separately by taking the TOEFL exam. In some countries, they have the IELTS. So I would think, depending on how smart you are, how good your English is, how good your math is, it would take at least 3 to 4 months, even for the smartest person, to prepare for GRE, GMAT, and TOEFL. TOEFL, there is not really that much to prepare. It's like a subset of GRE, GMAT, almost, If you're preparing for GRE or GMAT, you also prepared for TOEFL during that preparation, because all the topics are covered. And then, here's a bit of interesting advice I'd like to give you. Take the TOEFL exam first, before you take GRE or GMAT. So many people don't know what a computer adaptive test feels like. So let me just explain what a computer adaptive test is. So in a GRE or GMAT, what usually happens is, the test is given on a computer online, and initially it gives you questions of medium difficulty. If you get them right, it gives you tougher and tougher questions. And when your questions are getting tougher, it's a sign of progress. It means you're doing well. And if you get them wrong, again, it gives you easier questions. And if you get them wrong again, it gives you even more easier questions. And then if you get them right, it gives you tougher questions. So it adapts the complexity of the test to your intelligence and your competence and how you're answering the test. So just to get a feel of what the exam is, take the TOEFL first. That's the easiest one. And even if you get a not so excellent TOEFL score, it's okay. They'll still use just the basic filtering. But GRE, GMAT scores make a lot of difference in admission. So after TOEFL, if you take GRE or GMAT, you're better equipped to answer them better. So this is another bit of advice. Shortlist a few universities to apply to before you take the GRE, GMAT exams. So at the end of the GRE or GMAT exams, you have to list out at least 4 different universities to which you're submitting your scores. So you must have already decided like which country you want to study in. For example, in the US, you decided to do a master's in computer science, and based on your undergraduate GPA, and you have an idea of what GRE score you're likely to get, you must have at least 4 universities in mind. Like say, Rice University, Purdue University, College Park, and Harvard. These are the 4 universities I'm likely to get admission into. So you submit your scores to these universities at the end of the GRE exam. Otherwise, it's going to cost you at least like $25 to send scores to each of these universities, to any more universities after this. So for these universities, you have to try and understand what your GMAT score or GRE score is likely to be. For example, if your GMAT GMAT is out of 800 points, right? If you think your score is going to be between 720 and 800, then you could probably apply in the top 25 business schools. If your score is going to be less than 720, if your score is going to be between 680 to 720, you might want to apply in mid-range business schools, like say rank between 25 and 50. If your GMAT score is likely to be between 630 to 680, then you might want to apply in slightly lower universities, maybe somewhere between, I don't know, 30 to 80 or 100. So, and if your score is lower than that, you might want to apply in tier 3 universities. So, during your mock exams, you have an idea, some idea of what your score is likely to be. So you have to think about different categories of universities to apply to depending on what your actual score will be. So in the actual exam, you got to think, suppose my score, at the end of it you usually get a score. Suppose I get a score of more than 720, then I have to submit my scores to these 4 universities. Suppose I get a score of between 680 to 720, then I'm going to apply to these 4 universities. And if I get a score lower than this, I'm going to apply to these 4 universities. So you have to have all these classifications done and shortlist at least 4 universities in each of the 3 tiers, 3 categories. Do you get what I'm saying? You don't know what your actual score will be. Sometimes in the mock GMAT exams, mock GRE exams that you take at home, you might get a very low score or a very high score. It really doesn't reflect the actual score that you're probably going to get. So depending on what your actual score is, you have to have different categories of universities to which you will apply. So it's very important to have this, because otherwise you're going to waste more than $100 in applying to the actual universities to which you apply. So you have to do your research about the universities and shortlist them before you take the GRE and GMAT exams. Okay? So when to take GRE, GMAT and TOEFL exams? Suppose you're applying for the next fall semester. You have to take it no less than the September of the previous year. If you're applying for fall 2016, you have to take your GRE and GMAT no later than the end of September 2015, the year before, so that you have your scores and everything to apply in October, so that you don't miss the deadline for university applications. It might be good to take GRE, GMAT by August of the previous year if you're applying for next fall. So just in case you don't do as well as you were expected to, or you get enough time to prepare to retake the exam, it's very important to get a good GRE or GMAT score. So by when can you expect admission decisions? For fall semester, admission decisions are usually announced by late February or March. So if your decision is announced by February or March, then you have time to either accept or reject the decision, and then you have time to apply for visa, time to buy your tickets and then go to the university in August for fall semester. So in case of rolling admissions, decisions are announced at the end of each round, January to April. For round 1, the decision might be announced, I don't know, like maybe in sometime December, and round 2 might be announced in January, and round 3 might be announced like in March. So we never know. It depends on each university. So when to schedule visa interviews? So once you get an admission offer from one university, finalize which university to attend, and whichever offer you decide to take up, you have to pay them a deposit, like maybe $500, to confirm that you're taking up the offer of admission and attending the program there. And then you have to get all the documents required, get them together for the visa interview, and then schedule your visa interview at least 2 or 3 months before the semester starts. So if you're applying for fall semester, which is supposed to start in August, you have to go for a visa interview like maybe in March, April, May or June, no later than June. So note that there is a waiting time to get an interview slot at the embassy or the consulate. So, and if there is any visa complication, you might need to sort that out. So it's good to apply for visa by like April or May. And if you're applying for a spring semester, you must probably try and attend a visa interview no later than like September of the previous year, September, October of the previous year. You also need time after you get your visa. If you get the visa, you have to book your flight tickets. They get more expensive as you get closer to the flying date. So You have to book your tickets, and then you have to finalize housing abroad and all these options. When to book flight tickets. Book tickets as soon after you get your visa approved. So the moment you get your visa, look for the cheapest air tickets, look on Expedia.com, look at travel agencies, and book your flight tickets. The sooner you book your tickets, the less expensive it will be. Evaluate housing options. So explore and shortlist a few universities close to the university department. It's not just important that you're close to the university campus, but sometimes campuses are really huge, acres of campus. So you have to be close to the particular department which might be at one end of the campus. Otherwise you spend a lot of time shuttling around. So when to leave for the airport. Leave at least a few hours before the flight is scheduled to take off. So this happened to me once. I was all set, I packed my bags and everything, and I left, and we went midway, and then I realized I'd forgotten to take my handbag, which contained my passport and everything. So we had to come back and again go. This happens to a lot of people in attention. So there may be traffic jams on the way. So especially if it's your first time traveling abroad, you're probably not very familiar with security checks and immigration formalities and all the details. You need more leeway to ensure that you get everything done right. At least, otherwise you have to have time to go back home and get the documents required. So sometimes you may not be very familiar with weight regulations for baggage and for check-in rules and for security and customs processes. So give yourself enough time. If your flight is scheduled to take off at 10 o'clock, then you better be there like at 7 o'clock, at least 3 hours in advance. And when you land abroad, so you left on time, you got on the flight, and you reached there on time. And once you're in there, even if you're in the interim, during the transit, like suppose you're changing flights in Europe, some guys and girls, they have tendency to wander off in the airport, go over there, and then they realize, oh my god, I'm late, I got to go to this particular gate that's at the other end of the airport, and then they go there, and then the doors are just shut. It's like they have a boarding pass, but still you have to be there at least half an hour before the takeoff. So even if you're in a big airport in the transit, don't just wander off just because you have time. Make sure you're at the particular gate half an hour before the plane is scheduled to take off. So once you land at the university abroad, get a nice apartment close to the department, finalize your roommates if you need roommates, and then purchase basic items such as dishwashing liquid, and you need detergents and laundry and tissues, and from Walmart, Kmart or Fry's or any of the Safeway or any of these stores. When to register for courses. Consult your seniors and professors about which courses are good for each semester. I have a whole video about how to excel in academics. There's a 2-part video about that. So selecting the right course and the right advisor is actually very important. And register for courses well in advance to ensure that you get a seat in the class. Sometimes they're very competitive and they may say the class is full, there's no space. So you have to meet the professors, consult your seniors, and decide which courses to take. It's very important. When to withdraw from courses. Suppose you need to take a minimum of 3 courses each semester. Enroll in at least 5 or 6 courses. Attend a few classes and decide which ones are the ones where you fit in best. And if you don't like it, you can always withdraw. One wrong choice of course can screw up your entire program. Make sure you take the right courses at the right time. When to apply for internships. Suppose you're planning to do a summer internship. Remember that only if you went there for the fall semester, and if you've completed 2 semesters, at least 2 semesters like fall and spring, only then you're eligible to go on CPT. That's curriculum practical training for your summer internship. You can take CPT for 3 months or 8 months or even 1 year. So you can go on an internship, and then you have to apply for it well in advance. Suppose you're planning to do a summer internship, you have to apply for a CPT card, and there's procedure. You have to do it around maybe January or February or no later than March to be able to go to internship in May. And start applying for these jobs well in advance, and look on Craigslist.com. I have a whole video about how to select good internships and about interview guidance, so please watch those videos. And get employee referrals to boost your chances. So when to apply for CPT or OPT card. So OPT is optional practical training. It's like a time given after you graduate for about 1 year or 1.5 years, so where you can work as an employee in a company. You're called an OPT candidate, you know, it's like an internship almost, till you get a H1 visa and you're able to get a job. So, if you're graduating in May, you should apply for your OPT card by February. It takes about anywhere from 1 or 2 months to get an OPT card. And then you get the OPT card, and the moment you get your OPT card, within 2 or 3 months, you're supposed to get a job. And if you're not able to start working within 2 months or 3 months, then you can't, you'll probably lose your OPT status. So it's a kind of tricky situation. You don't want to get your OPT card too early because you may not have a job to start working in. You don't want to get your OPT card too late because, like it happened to me, I forgot about applying for OPT card. I was supposed to graduate in May, and I applied only like in April for my OPT card. So it took about 2.5 months for me to get the OPT card. So June, July, yeah, May, June and July. So in mid-July, I got my OPT card. So 2.5 months. So after I graduated in mid of May, so for 2 months I was just sitting there, you know, waiting for my OPT card because I couldn't start working. If I had applied 2 months in advance, like in February, by March, April, May, by the end of May, by the time of graduation, I would have my OPT card. The company was waiting for me to start working, but I had to wait for 2 months sitting there doing nothing, just waiting for the OPT card. So remember, if you are graduating in May, apply around February for your OPT card. And once you get it, you will get some job, don't worry, you can always get some internship somewhere. And if you're graduating in fall semester, like if you're graduating in December, remember to apply for your OPT card by September or October. Remember to apply, nobody is going to remind you. The International Student Services is not going to come and remind you. So apply 2 to 3 months in advance. When to apply for H1 visa? USCIS, that's the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, accepts H1 visa applications from April 1st every year. So on April 1st, there's a quota, like a cap of about 65,000 that opens up every year, and out of which 21,000 H1 visas are reserved for people with a master's degree and above. And if there's more applicants than 65,000, there is usually a lottery process for allocating visas. So if you want to work for a consultancy or even like full-time employment, you have to get all your documents ready before April 1st. Have it reviewed by the immigration attorney. And on April 1st, when the quota opens, the same day you have to apply for H1 visa to make sure it doesn't get filled up. And if your visa is approved, it takes time to, get all the formalities done, and only by October of that year you'll be able to start working. So assuming you went through all these processes and now you're all set to graduate. So you have to purchase the graduation outfit, the gowns, and you have to pay a particular fees for the graduation ceremony, which will happen, like if you're graduating in May, it will happen in May, usually the graduation ceremony, and December, if you're graduating, they have a ceremony in December as well, usually. And sometimes if they graduate in December, they have to go back in May for the ceremony, if they really want to attend it. So it's not mandatory to attend the graduation ceremony, but these are memories of a lifetime. So these are the sequence of activities that I've identified, one after the other. What you do first, next, stuff. So let's go over that. So first, do your research and decide which program to pursue. Should I really do a master's in mechanical engineering or a master's in computer science, or should I do an MIS, should I do MBA, should I directly do a PhD, or should I switch and study photography because that's really what I want to do? So watch the videos that are in the Find Your Passion section. Identify your passion. Decide which course you really want to pursue. You do your master's degree or PhD like once in a lifetime usually. So don't waste your time studying a program that you're really not interested in. And so do your research, decide which program to pursue first, and then decide which country to pursue it in. Don't just go to America because your boyfriend or girlfriend is there, or because you have friends there, or don't go to Germany just because your uncle or aunt is there. Come on, you do it once in a lifetime, and you've got to go to the right university where your chances of excelling in the career are best. So decide which country you want to go to. Look at all the geographical videos about each state and all of these countries, and think about which country is best suited for you. Then based on your profile, that is your undergraduate GPA, your exam scores, you thinking about what your GRE GMAT score might likely be, try and shortlist a few universities. So I have a whole video about how to shortlist universities. So have a list of various universities that are likely to be suitable for you and where you can probably apply. So shortlist universities and keep them ready before you take the GRE GMAT exams. And then consult the senior students and faculty members at the universities of your choice after you shortlist universities. Talk to them about details related to funding, related to research, courses at these universities. So once you have these universities shortlisted, and then prepare for the GRE, GMAT and TOEFL exams. You need about 3 to 4 months to prepare for these exams. And then keep the whole process confidential. This is really critical, okay? Share your plans only with your family members if required, not with your classmates or your colleagues or your friends. No, this is serious. You won't believe what happened once. When I was in undergrad, so there was this guy who went to an interview with a company, I think it was Cognizant, that was interviewing all the students on campus recruitment. And this guy wasn't smart enough academically, but he wanted to get the job. And he knew that there was another guy who gave the interview who was really smart and he would get the job. So he went and told the interviewers in the campus interview in his engineering college that the other guy, hey, he's really smart. You know, he wrote CAT exam, he wrote GMAT, and he got the 99th percentile. He's really smart. He's going to study abroad and whatever. But I want to work for a few years before I study abroad. So basically, he made the interviewers realize that the other guy had plans of studying abroad and he was not going to take the job offer even if they made him an offer. So they made this guy an offer instead of that guy. So the guy was really cunning. I mean, he made sure the other guy wouldn't get a job. And there are so many other ways in which they can actually impede your prospects if they know your plans. Don't breathe a word of it to anyone. You don't have to boast about your GRE, GMAT scores to everyone in the university. Even after you take a job, for example, you wrote your GRE, whatever, you're planning to apply after 6 months. Okay, suppose you're working in the meantime. There are a lot of bad people in the world. They might go and just tell the HR, you know what, this person is planning to leave in the next 2 months. And then why would the company keep you anymore? So, better you keep this whole process confidential. Try and take some time to learn a foreign language, such as French or German or Spanish. If you have time, like go to Alliance Française or some other institute and try and learn a foreign language. It's good to put on your profile and also helps you get jobs in foreign countries. If you know a foreign language, they think they can send you to customer sites easier and it helps you. Boost your profile with additional certificates if you have time. Try and do Salesforce 201 and 401 certifications and do CCNA, CCNP, Cisco Certified Network Associate, Cisco Certified Network Professional, MCSE, your Scrum Master certification, SAFe Program Consultant, that's Scaled Agile Framework Program Consultant, Oracle certifications. There are so many other certificates that you can get. They boost your resume, look good on your profile and help you boost your chances of getting a job after you graduate. And you can take an IQ test if you like for example, Paul Coolgrad, who was a Dutch guy. He administers the standard international IQ test. Suppose you qualify to a high IQ society, it's good to put on your profile. It takes maybe a few days to answer an IQ test and qualify for these things. Then shortlist 6 to 8 universities. You shortlist 6 to 8 universities based on your actual exam scores. So take the GRE, GMAT exams. Depending on your actual score, you have to do your research again and shortlist 6 to 8 universities to finally apply to. And submit your scores to these exam scores to all these 6 to 8 shortlisted universities. Prepare your application package. So get your recommendation letters. So watch my video about recommendation letters. And then write an excellent statement of purpose and revise it multiple times before you submit. So I have a video about statement of purpose too. And then get your transcripts attested by the college principal if you like, if you're required to. Sometimes if you're scanning it and uploading a copy, you may not need it to be attested by your principal, but if you're mailing a hard copy especially, then you need it attested. The photocopies need to be signed. And then compose your cover letter for the application package. Create an online account on the university website where you're applying. You'll get a student ID number and include that student ID number in all your application documents. Mail or submit your application before the application deadline, and give the interview with the university if required, and then get one or more offers of admission. Accept an offer of admission by paying security deposit to the university. Get an I-20 form from the university. Arrange for financial resources. So you have to show enough funds in your bank account. Either you have to get it from your parents or take a loan or get a scholarship. You have to show that you can support yourself. Arrange financial resources. And before you go for the visa interview, you have to get your pictures, if required, in the correct format. Prepare all the documents required for your visa interview. And then schedule your visa interview online. Get your visa approved and stamped on the passport. And then create a free miles account on the airlines where you get the cheapest air tickets. Do your research, go to Expedia.com or your travel agent and book the cheapest air tickets. Book your flight tickets. Evaluate housing options at the university. So decide which apartments are good and nice, and you go there and finalize housing. Consult your seniors and faculty members about which textbooks and items to carry from India. Textbooks are cheaper in India. Purchase good quality suitcases and backpack. So pack your bags. And get your immunization. This is important. Get immunization shots against MMR, tetanus, whatever is required by the university. And this is a cool bit of advice. Visit a dentist and get your teeth proactively filled with white cement. So I got this done to all my teeth before I went abroad, and it's one of the best things I ever did. It's the wisest thing I did in my higher education pursuit, because it's so easy to get cavities, and then it's so expensive to see a dentist abroad, thousands of dollars sometimes, because you may not have dental insurance. So if you visit a dentist, get all your teeth cleaned and filled with like white cement, you know, the molars and the premolars. It prevents them from getting cavities. It acts like a shield which prevents them from getting cavities. And then get a forex card and hard cash currency. So if you get a foreign exchange card that is loaded, your parents can like maybe charge it for you in case of emergency, and also get some currency of the country to which you are traveling. Pack your bags. And fly to your university, arrive on campus. So leave on time, arrive safely. Finalize your apartment and roommates if required. Apply for your social security number or the equivalent in that country. If it's in the US, open a bank account. US bank account. Whichever country you are, you have to open a bank account there. And use a credit card for purchases to build a credit score and credit history. So purchase basic household items for your apartment. You need laundry detergents and soaps and all these things for your apartment, groceries. Meet all the faculty members and senior students of the department. Finalize which courses to take each semester by discussing with your seniors and faculty members. Register for the courses well in time so that you ensure you get a seat in the class. Withdraw from a course if you're not able to fit in that class, and join another course if required within the stipulated deadline if you think a particular course is not good enough for you. Excel in each of your tests, exams, assignments, projects, group discussions, or activities. In the second semester, search and apply for summer internships. Finalize your summer internship. Apply and get a CPT card if you need to go for an internship. Finish your internship. Complete the program requirements. Apply for OPT card 3 months before you graduate. And then search for jobs or plan further studies. Apply for H-1B visa if required in April. Purchase your graduation outfit, graduate and get your degree, and that should take you to the end of your higher education pursuit. It seems sometimes simple, but there's so much that goes into making a successful graduation. There is so many million ways in which you could screw up and get things wrong. So you have to get the right university, the right program, get funding, pick the right courses, the right advisor, right roommates. There's every way, you have to work in different ways to graduate successfully. Thank you. That brings us to the end of this video.